Dividing decimals by decimals. Well, how do you divide a decimal by another decimal? Well, the easiest thing to do is to actually make that decimal a whole number by moving the decimal point. So in this example, instead of having a divisor of 3/10, we can move that decimal point one spot and make it 3. We just need to remember to also move the decimal one spot in our dividend. And essentially what you've done here, you've multiplied each of these by 10. You've multiplied this by 10, the divisor, and you've multiplied the dividend by 10. And that won't change your outcome. It just makes it easier to do the division when you're dividing by a whole number. And just to show you this holds true, here we have 5 divided by 5. This is your divisor, 5, and this is your dividend, 5. Now, 5 divided by 5, of course, is 1. If I multiplied each of those by 10, I'd get 50 over 50. It's not going to change the outcome. 50 divided by 50 is still 1. If I multiplied each one by 100, I'd still get 1. As long as I multiply each one by 100, I'm okay. And that's essentially what we did back here. We multiplied each of these by 10, and it won't change your quotient. Okay. So, just remember, when you're dividing, when you have a decimal divisor, you want to make that into a whole number. Now in this example, we need to move the decimal 2 places, which means you need to move that decimal 2 places in your dividend as well. And in this case, we needed to add a 0 when we did that. In this example, our divisor, 7 thousandths, in order to make it a whole number, we needed to move that decimal spot 3 places, and we also need to move the decimal 3 places in our dividend. And we had to add 3 zeros in this case. Okay, why don't we, well, let's take a look at this. If we were actually going to do these questions, how many spots would you have to move the decimal in the dividend in the first example? Well, we would need to move it 2. So you would need to add a decimal point and move it 2 places. Make sure you put your decimal in the correct spot up here. In the next example, how many spots would you have to move the decimal? Well, you'd have to move it 1 to make this a whole number. So we would move it 1 here. We would move it 1 here in the dividend. Get our decimal up here. And in the last example on this page, we would need to move that decimal 4 places in order to make this a whole number. And we would need to move it 4 places here as well. So you would add your decimal, and you would move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 places. We would have to add some zeros here. Okay, let's practice a few of these. So we're going to do 1.84. We're going to put that first dog in the house, 1.84, and we're dividing it by 0.8. Well, we want to make that a whole number. We're going to make our divisor a whole number. We're going to move it 1 spot. We're going to move it 1 spot here and get our decimal and our quotient. 8 won't go into 1, but does go into 18 twice. We get 16. We subtract, get 2. Bring down our 4, and 8 goes into 24 3 times. So 2.3 would be our answer here. Let's do another one. So we'll put your first dog in the house, so that's 0.184, and we could do 0.184, and we're going to divide that by 4/100ths. So the first thing we want to do is make this a whole number by moving our decimal 2 spots to the right, and we're going to move it 2 spots in our dividend. And then it's just a matter of doing long division. So 4 doesn't go into 0, doesn't go into 1, but does go into 18 4 times. Subtract, we get 2, bring down 4, and 4 goes into 24 perfectly, 4.6. And that's our answer, 4.6. Let's do this next one. So we have a whole number. Our first number is a whole number, 85. We're going to put that in the house, and we're dividing it by 5/100ths. So the first thing we want to do is make our divisor a whole number. Move the decimal 2 places to the right. This doesn't have a decimal, so we'll give it 1, and we'll move it 2 to the right. Now we're going to have to add 2 zeros on this one and get our decimal up in our quotient. And then it's just a matter, again, of doing long division. So 5 goes into 8 once. Subtract, we get 3. We're going to bring down the 5. 5 goes into 35 perfectly, 7 times. And we're good on that one. So that would be 1,700. We'll do this last example. We'll do 9 6/100. I'm going to put that in the house. And we're dividing it by 3 thousandths. So we need to move that decimal point to make that a whole number. So I had to move it 3 spots. I'm going to move it 3 spots here. And now we're just doing 3 into 9,060. So that goes into 9 3 times. Doesn't go in there. I'm going to bring down 6. 3 goes into 6 twice. So that would be 3,020. And that's it. That is essentially how you divide decimals by other decimals.